the
Catherine.
co-founder of,
Hello.
of Red Tech Tribe, Nicolas Moulard, that
Hello.
helped to co-organize all this Radio Week, and he's doing the groundwork by contacting everyone and setting and working on Connect on Air very late at night and doing all that. And hello to Katarina from
Hello.
ECTA that is with us and that will have a nice keynote, Margaret.
Absolutely. So basically today we're going to be focused on the importance of voice in marketing and in audience engagement. And we're also going to look at voice-enabled advertising. And so I'm going to pass it to Nicola, and he's going to explain a little bit about what the Red Tech Table Talk is going to discuss today.
Yeah, today is focused on advertising. So this is the chance to discuss about the latest innovation in advertising, and we'll talk about voice. Digital audio has opened new fields for monetization, and voice is a new but quite interesting and promising medium. So basically, this is organized in 2 times. First, thanks to ECTA, we'll see, who's doing a very interesting work collecting all the latest use cases all over Europe. I think it will be a very interesting overview of what is the reality of audio advertising via voice by the different and most important, most innovative sales houses in Europe. And just then after, I propose to enter a discussion. We'll have and I think this is quite interesting, the presentation from Pierre Bouvard from the US. He's from Cumulus and is the Chief Insights Officer. And he just launched yesterday, 2 days in Europe, a new use case for Ford Motors. And so it will also give ground to the discussions. And they are very advanced in advertising. We'll have also the testimony of ADN and Energy on the French side to discuss the topic. But I leave the micro to you, Margaret.
Thank you, Nicola. We'll see you a little bit later. Thank you. So basically, we're going to get started right now with Katarina Borowska. She's from the European Association of Radio and Television Sales Houses. Welcome, Katarina.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me. So let me just share my presentation. Can you just tell me if you're seeing it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you very much for having me today. I'm very pleased to be here. So my name is Katarina. As Marguerite said, I represent ECTA. So just for those of you who maybe not heard of us, so we're the Trade Association of Radio and TV Broadcasters. So we'll present all over Europe and also beyond. So what we do, among other things, is monitoring and benchmarking. So as also Nicola mentioned, we collect different cases, research, and ideas basically about all the topics that are hot in media, on TV and radio. And obviously voice has been something that it's been on our radar for quite a few years now. So we've been looking at the development. And so just recently, now in January, we put together a publication from all these kind of learnings and things that we've seen. So I invite you to have a look at it, and everything that I will be mentioning here today is actually included in the publication. So if you're looking for other cases or ideas, I will invite you to have a look at it. It also has some more overview of the ecosystem and kind of a general introduction. So I invite you to have a look.
Yeah, we went to see that there's a lot of interesting cases regarding radio.
Exactly.
Yeah, we went through it, and it will be interesting to write some articles a little more in depth with radio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to focus really today was radio, since we're in the Radio Week. So just to kind of give it a bit of background, so I'm sure all of you kind of know this, but radio, or why should radio pay attention to voice? So it's a new channel to reach customers, so consumers, but also advertisers. So for radio specifically, it gives a potential to enrich the user experience, basically be where the consumers are on the new platforms. Have some new products in terms of content and advertising, and add this kind of new shiny thing to your marketing offer for the advertisers who are looking for something new and innovative. So we see now that the penetration of voice and the adoption of smart speakers is really rising. So it's really a sharp increase, let's say. Just one thing important to keep in mind when we speak about voice, it's not always only the smart speakers. So obviously there's lots of other devices that are voice enabled now. So we have headphones, watches, mobiles, Alexa in car. So just to kind of keep in mind that here, what I will be mentioning are mostly smart speaker cases, but obviously the potential for the future use is much wider. Here, I think maybe Pierre will show this later, but I saw it this morning and I thought it was interesting to show about the rise of listening on smart speakers to cumulus stations. So that was in that report that was published this morning. So you see the rise from 2017 to 2020. So I think we can look at this, some similar development in Europe in a couple of years. So that's why we think it's important to keep voice in mind and the opportunities it brings. So now let's jump into the cases and examples that we found. So in terms of voice monetization and advertising on voice. So just to kind of put it again in the context, there's a very unique position for radio in the voice advertising. Because listening to music and or radio is one of the most common activities that actually people do on smart speakers. But there's actually no advertising by the assistants themselves on most skills and actions. There's quite strict restrictions by Google and Amazon in terms of advertising on smart speakers. So the exception actually are radio, music streaming, podcasts, and flash briefings, where you can have the advertising kind of within those skills. So there's a possibility to ad serve targeted audio ads that are prompting the user to interact with the voice assistant. So usually it would be something like ask your Alexa to do X, Y, Z. So now let's look at some concrete cases of what we've seen from radio companies, what they implemented. So there's one case from Bauer Media Group in the UK. So they had these exactly what I said, these dynamically inserted spots with call to action. So it was a campaign for Audi where you could book a test drive. So basically the campaign would be inserted in the radio stream and it would just say, oh, if you want to test this new Audi, just ask your Alexa to book you a test drive via yours truly. So yours truly is a technology from a company, Atonos, that is embedded within the radio skill and that then facilitates the interaction with the user for booking the actual test drive. So it was ran in December 2020. And also interesting thing, they also put in a geolocation data somehow. So it offered the nearest dealership to the user. So I think this kind of interactive we can find on smart speakers. Another case is from RMS in Germany. So this one was focused on product sampling. So here it was about a new chocolate bar that was introduced to the market. And again, there was a targeted advertising within the audio stream that offered the listeners the possibility to ask for a sample. So if they said, basically send me a sample for a pickup, so there was this specific phrase, then it would guide them through registration and it would deliver the sample straight to their house. So there was a kind of a nice way, also COVID-proof way to send samples to people. Also interestingly enough, RMS also ran then later on a questionnaire with those who participated in this. And 76% of the testers consented to receive also further communications from pickups. Also for the client, it was a nice way to get some additional touch points. Also in terms of feedback to the ad itself, it was very well received. So 97% of the testers really liked the ability to ask for the sample. And the listen through rate was also really good. So that's another kind of option. Then it doesn't always have to be about a product or a specific thing. So there's also an option of branded content. So here's an example from NPR. They developed a specific advertising product for the client, which is a voice landing page, they call it. So it's a 15-second post roll on their flash briefing, which basically would play just after, and offer the user to listen to some additional content from that we branded content from a client. And they also offer it within the package that they then produce the branded content for the client as well. So it's like it's a package. And they also offer a visual version of this on Alexa Show or Alexa, the ones that have the screen, basically. And then there's another case from RMS, just mentioned the link. I can share the presentation later, or you can have a look on our website. Basically similar thing with brand ambassadors, where again, there would be a spot that would offer the listeners to listen to additional content if they would like. And just to mention, so it doesn't always have to be on the smart speakers. So to kind of avoid all these restrictions by Google, Amazon, you could also deploy these kind of ads on your mobile streams. So on the online streams on mobile. So here's a case from Mainstreamatic, which is again a tech company that allows this kind of advertising. So here you would kind of interact with the ad itself. So it would offer you, oh, do you want to hear more, or do you want to have a coupon or a discount? Just say yes, and if you say yes, then it again triggers interaction with the advertising. So it's kind of offering a voice click, let's say, or direct interaction with the ad, which then obviously is very valuable for the advertiser. And so in a case with Gazprom Media in Russia, 4 out of 10 users actually reacted to these kind of voice-enabled ads. And in the end, it was quite a small amount of impressions that were these voice ads. But since they were priced much higher than a standard ad, they actually brought in 10% of the revenue within the digital audio segment. So that was a quite nice result. And just to kind of touch upon also for not necessarily only advertising, but also audience engagement, or various ways how broadcasters are coming up with different formats for voice, which for their skills. So obviously there are radio station voice skills, so where you can just listen to radio and just listen to music. But on top of that, we've seen quite a few examples from radio companies that are coming up with various different creative formats. So obviously flash briefings, so those are could be reused, for example, from your newscast or weather, traffic. Any of these things that are basically already present on radio could be just repackaged for these new platforms. So that's one thing to maybe think about. We've seen quite popular skills for kids and parents. So there's an example from BR Media in Germany, where they basically took their old radio plays that they had from many years ago that are very popular still, and they repackaged it with an Alexa skill, where now parents with children can listen to these stories. They can ask for a specific story, and it's like a bedtime story skill, which is quite popular. Then quizzes and games. So we've seen some examples of trivia games, trivia quizzes. There's an interesting one from Antenne Bayern, which is a song duel. So it's a kind of a quiz or interactive quiz for recognizing songs, and they have a feature that you can either play it yourself or in a like a group of friends, or even online with strangers. So it's quite a nice thing. Jokes. There's also a feature that you can ask Alexa, tell me a joke. And they sometimes partner with celebrities that would then say the joke. So in Germany, as an example of this Barbara radio presenter, who's a famous comedian as well. And so she partnered with Alexa, and she's actually the one saying the jokes. And she also has radio station and a podcast, and they're also available on Alexa. So there's a very nice cross-promotion, let's say. Competitions, just to mention. So there was a case with iHeartRadio, where they encouraged users to use Google Home to vote for their music awards. Story experiences, so you can create these like really complex choose your adventure type story experiences. Those obviously require a bit more work and investment. BR Media, again in Germany, they developed one which was called Day X, about this post-apocalyptic future. So that was quite an interesting project to get into. And then obviously podcasts as well. But from what we heard, it's quite tricky to make podcasts really user-friendly on voice on smart speakers. So for now, we haven't seen like some really success story of podcasts on the smart speakers. And just to kind of conclude, so one thing to keep in mind is really to optimize for voice search. So when you're naming your skills or actions, to really think about the searchability via voice, so people know what to say and how to search for it. So to promote and educate listeners. So we've seen a lot that radio stations do instruction videos, put on their website, really explain in detail to users how they can access it and what they can access. And also radio, one thing to mention is has the advantage that they can promote it on air, obviously. So it helps the discoverability. So that is for me. So as I mentioned, if you're looking for more examples or ideas, I invite you to have a look at our publication. Or you can write me an email, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. That's it.
Hold on, Margaret. The microphone is off. Hold on. There. Right. Now we hear you.
Hello, thank you, Katarina. That was very interesting. Gave some really good examples of how people with their voice, they can interact with technology. It kind of gives a human touch to it, and I think that's really interesting. In your presentation, serves as a perfect example of that. One question: is it difficult to measure the track metrics with the voice-enabled devices? How do you do that?
So I think so. I know that RMS, for their case, since the interaction, then basically then they got an email. So if they asked for this sample, they had to go through the kind of answering the question, giving their email. So there it was quite easy to track then how many people actually went for it and went through all this thing. So I think that's an easy way if you kind of then take some data from them, either a mobile number or a phone or an email that they still have to kind of go through to either book the ride or receive this package at home. So you can track it this way. But otherwise, I don't know. It's a bit tricky. Obviously, it's tricky to measure how many people actually heard the ad. But I saw that RMS managed to measure this listen through rate. So I think they would know better. I'm sorry, I don't know all the details on how they measured it. But I'm sure since it's ad served, I think you can then measure it through the servers. How much was delivered and how much was listened.
How about the countries that are the most advanced in terms of development of those new technologies? And because this is brand new, I mean, okay, we heard about skills, but maybe a year ago, and everyone tried to make his own skills with a bit of not really success because it was not going the right way. Now it's getting easier and simpler, and we know that thanks to the data that we're using and that are synchronized better thanks to radio player, to radio DNS and all those technologies, it's easier to develop those skills. But which countries are the most advanced today and the ones that are really using it?
Yeah, well, obviously it's the ones English speaking, because that's where the Alexa or all these kind of assistants kind of started, let's say. So obviously US, UK, Australia would be a bit ahead in terms of these developments and also the adoption rate. So how many smart speakers there are. So you saw in that chart from Europe, I think that UK is definitely the furthest. And then Germany. So there was quite a lot of examples from Germany. So I think German was one of the early also languages on Alexa. So I think it really depends that the countries where it's maybe not as far is just because they kind of got a bit later in there with Alexa and maybe not as many people have the smart speakers. But as we saw, the adoption goes quite fast once it's actually deployed and once it speaks your language, then I think it will accelerate more and more.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Katarina. That was very interesting. Fiorenza, do you have any questions for Katarina?
Yeah, I was just curious. Nearly at the end of your presentation, you referred to a podcast and being actually still not integrated in this kind of tracks and skills and stuff. Why is it so difficult, or is it just too new to be part of the same kind of technology?
They are there. It's not that they wouldn't be, but it's just from what we heard from also broadcasters and also podcasters, it's in terms of the search and the discoverability. You know, when you're looking for a specific episode name, so all this, it's quite easy on a podcast app, but within the voice ecosystem where you have to say everything or the assistant will have to serve you the thing. So from what we heard, there's still quite a traction, and the user, so they're there. You can definitely ask for the podcast, and most I think would have some kind of voice skill or would be available. It's just this kind of the search and to finding the right episode and have it in the right order. So from what I heard, for now, there's still some traction to make it really user friendly. So it's there, but it's not as easy as on an app. You know, you just find your episode, you listen to it, it's easy. So I think, but I'm sure eventually it will be figured out somehow by smart developers or tech people that will come up with some solutions. So.
Data management, yeah. Indeed. Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Katarina, for the very interesting presentation. Katarina Łopatka.
Yeah, thank you very much, and please don't hesitate to check out the website of the ECTA, which is ecta.org. Is it? .com. Oh, sorry about that.
EGTA.com.
I didn't check before. I didn't do my job. ecta.com, and there's a lot of really interesting informations and download the PDF and the studies. Thank you very much. We, of course, go on with the other session that will take place in 3 minutes. So we are just right in time. Congratulations for this perfect timing.
So we have to give out an award now.
So let's go to the first award of the day. And we are going to give the award. Well, I just launched the video, and then we'll see who's the winner of this award. Let's go. Neuromedia Metric Crowd, Margaret.
Congratulations, Neuromedia, Pierre. And speaking of audience ratings and metrics, Metric Crowd is a smartphone application for audience and behavioral measurement based on a collection of digital and non-digital audio data. And it has a lot of cool features, so check them out. And congratulations again to Neuromedia for Metric Crowd.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
And
congratulations.
we just go to the next session. So I just say it again. You have to, if you're on connectonair.com website, you just go into the next session to join the new stream. If you're looking at us on connectonair.com on the player, just stay online and we'll come very shortly with you for the next session. Thank you very much, and see you very soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. And I just launched the video before we leave. Yes, bye-bye.
Radio Week. 5 days of awards.
5 days of awards.
Inspirations and